greater impacts and create a platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom. Our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the As part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create a platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on the program Dialogue in Diaspora this beautiful Monday morning. My name is Tunde Alabi. It's a pleasure to have you join us on this show today. Last week, for those of us who have been following developments in Nigeria, the federal government through the Nigeria military commenced what we will call an enforcement program that they call Operation Python Dance 2 against the Ipob group, the independent peoples of the Biafra community in the southeast Nigeria. And in the course of the program, in the course of the operation, the military and the federal government declared Ipob a terrorist group. And the Southeast governor rose up from their meeting prescribing, banning that organization. Today on the program, we will be taking a look at what constitutes a terrorist organization. We'll be looking at, is Ipob really a terrorist group? How do we identify a terrorist group, and what makes an organization a terrorist organization, and who has the power to declare an organization a terrorist organization anywhere in the world? Just over the weekend, we saw the unfortunate, a potentially very dangerous situation that would have resulted in the loss, in the multiple loss of lives if the bomb had properly detonated on that tube. But fortunately, there was some kind of failure and people suffered some burns around their body, and as of this morning, only one person is still left in the hospital receiving treatment. Others have been discharged. However, the government has reduced the level of threat to just critical, severe at the moment. So we'll be taking a look at on the program, we're taking a look at the global issue of terrorism and the fight against terrorism, plus including what is going on in Nigeria. I'm joined on the show today, this morning, by three gentlemen who are all independent and knowledgeable in their different areas of fields. First, on my immediate right is Temitope Olodo. Temitope Olodo is a counter-terror advisor, very well known, who has appeared in so many interviews giving advice on counter-terrorism, and who is also an author in that area. Tope, thank you for joining us on the program today. And also we are joined by Otumba Bolaji Falashe, the president of the Yoruba Council of Elders, Europe and the US. Otumba, thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning.
Otumba is the president of the Yoruba Council of Elders, Europe and US. So he will be hearing from the Yoruba, the Yoruba Southwest region of Nigeria, their position on this matter. And finally, far right there is Eze Enacho, an author of books on young adults, on bringing up children, and on living a good life. Eze, thank you for joining us on the program today.
You're most welcome.
All right. Now, gentlemen, it's no longer news what is happening in Nigeria. It's no longer news the confrontation between the federal government through the military on Nnamdi Kanu and his group, Ipob. But what is surprising that came as a surprise to Nigerians was the declaration by the army and the federal government of Ipob as a terrorist organization and the proscription of that organization by the Southeast governors. What is your opinion? What are your thoughts about issues in the country?
Right. Before I go into the issues in the country, I think it's important that we see the broader picture. That broader picture being that our world as it is constituted is dangerously laid, okay? And that has infiltrated into many countries in the world. So what you're seeing in Nigeria is not actually to be expected. I did say in one of my videos that this 2017 is highly loaded. There are loads that will be happening. And even though I know that, as a human being, my heart breaks. And I'm saying, thy will be done, O Lord. Now, coming to Nigeria, right, the situation is such that I am very, 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 very shocked that in this modern era, we haven't still captured the fact that we are human beings, because that is the beginning of everything. I think we're still mixing things up. Some of us think that we are animals, or some people are more animals than the other. I've always spoken about us as human species. And don't forget, I am an advocate for humanity, so that's why I'm saying this right now. Now, as long as we don't understand our source, so long as we don't understand that we are human beings, we are creativity and we are productivity, so long as we don't have that fact, that truth, okay, what then you have is lies, okay? And once you have lies, which is plural, remember truth is singular. Once you have lies, you have theories. From theories, you have confusion. So we are in a confused state at the moment, and this is worldwide. Don't ever think there is civilization happening anywhere. You'll be deluding yourself. So we're in a confused state. It's that confusion that you are seeing today. Because if we realize who we are, who we really are, the source where we came from, you would know that what I am as creativity and productivity, you are too. But you have a uniqueness in you that I don't have, and I have a uniqueness in me that you don't have. That is where we get our respect from, and that's where we get our exchange and sharing from. Now, because we don't understand this, or we haven't caught up with this, due to the way we have been propelled. Remember, what is happening in Nigeria is not just because of Nigeria. There is also outside influence. You've got to get the big picture. If you don't, you keep guessing and guessing and guessing. The illness that kills one is the illness you haven't properly diagnosed. The punch that knocks a boxer out isn't quite the biggest, but it's the one you didn't see. And I'm being very honest. When I say, and when I categorically say, that Africa is still under lock and key, I am serious about it, and we need to understand this, okay? What you're seeing in Nigeria is a game being played out, but it's a dangerous game because it's tampering with humanity. So my view is quite simple, and I'm going to rest this view so that I can get others to say what they want to say. Yes, Ipob is agitating, but I will say to you that I would think that any Nigerian in the current state of affairs that isn't agitating is sick. okay? We're talking about a nation where, I don't know if you've been to Nigeria and seen children with talents, children, remembering that everybody is creativity and productivity. When you witness what is going on in Nigeria, looking at children, you cry. You cry. And this is a country with plenty, okay? But people are so deluded, they're doing what they like with it, okay? Now, it would be wrong for any Nigerian that is understanding of the situation not to agitate, to say, what is happening here? Am I treated the way I should be treated? Am I given the opportunity the way I should be given? We are talking about a country where leaders who are supposed to be building quality hospitals that will cater for themselves and those they lead are traveling abroad for treatment. So who is going to do that? Remembering that leadership is not by compulsion. When you offer to lead, you're saying, let me go and resolve it because no one else can resolve this. But you're not resolving it, you're moving outside, okay? Now, if you don't agitate it under such circumstances, then I don't know what you'll be agitating for anymore. So as far as I am concerned, every reasonable and sensible Nigerian should agitate. And those that are not agitating must either be the cabals or the cronies or the administrators. These three will be the ones that perhaps should not agitate because they are the ones causing the damage in the system. And we need to really be honest about this. If we continue to run away from the truth, then we will occupy our world with lies. And when you have lies, okay, I am sorry, that's a dangerous territory because then you have theories. And when you have theories, you have confusion.
Okay.
That's so can I keep it there for now?
For now.
Okay, for now.
Otumba, I mean, if you, he just said it is normal for any concerned Nigeria to agitate, considering the level of agitation being carried out by the indigenous people of Biafra, Ipob. Do you think it's a good trend or a dangerous trend up till the time the military intervened?
Well, the Ipob situation wouldn't have arisen if we had actually been listening to our people. One of the problems we have in Nigeria is that people talk and the government don't listen. The majority of the problems we have wouldn't have arisen if we had actually sat down together to resolve issues early. First of all, the project Nigeria that we have in now is not working. And people are actually asking the government, what can we do to actually bring us together? Or we go our different ways. But the government, instead of doing that, are actually trying to make the populace not to be heard. And that doesn't happen in a democracy. We've had some other parts of the world where we've had problems about governance. In India, it used to be a very large country. The East India became Bangladesh, the Indian remained India, and the western part of India became Pakistan. Because things were not working out. Why can we not actually have a country
but
where...
is Nigeria not better and stronger as an entity?
Well,
as a nation?
Well, when we had our independence, Nigeria was actually structured differently. What we have now is not what we took, what we were given independence for. We had 3 regions that worked. We cannot actually have agitation where people will not agitate if there aren't problems. If things were working, people would not agitate in the first instance. So it's better for us to sit down at the table like we did before independence to actually restructure the government, the country. And that is what people are asking for. And the government is not actually adhering to people's comments or agitation. If we continue like this, it might become something that we are not able to stop, because the Ipob said they want to have their independence, and if that's what they want, the government, the military government, can actually sit down with them and have a dialogue. dialogue is actually not happening. Rather than sending the military, it's best to call it a conference where people can actually talk and things can be resolved amicably. And that's what I think the federal government should be doing.
Tope,
Yes.
your views about the whole thing. Do you not think when agitation is becoming a show of subtle force? Because, of course, if people, I mean, some have actually said the actions of the indigenous people of Biafra is a kind of subtle force. We have a young man in the name of Kanu Nnamdi building armies, though they are not armed, training people, though they are not soldiers, but uttering all manners of subtle threats to the federal government. Will that still be considered as agitation? Will the Nigerian government be wrong to have applied some element of violence through the army?
From my perspective, I'm talking from a
Yeah.
security perspective, completely. I think Kano had been quite lucky to date in the way in which the federal government have handled them. I think it's because of the slubbishness of the security infrastructure that we are where we are today. The Nigerian government have not helped the situation. I remember meeting President Buhari proud to him becoming president. And I said to him, Your Excellency, you need to help the youth. And he said, don't tell me about that. I know. I saw them running after my car. I have to help them, otherwise they will come after us. But the federal government, I think when you have too many things on your plate, you lose the plot. And I think they've lost the plot on one or two occasions. Of course, they are doing some good things, but there's some areas they've lost the plot. Let's go back to the issue of the proscribing the organization. What they've done is null and void from a legal perspective, and as a student of law, you know that, because the Counterterrorism Act, Nigerian Counterterrorism Act 2011 and 2013, states very clearly in Section 2, for your viewers that might be watching, that when you want to proscribe an organization, the Inspector General of Police or the security agencies will advise the president. You know, they will go before a judge, and when they go before that judge, they will lay in front of the judge the reasons why they believe this organization is acting outside the normal right of expression expression which is given by law. And when they make that case before a judge, the judge will then give them that right to, will then proscribe the organization, and then they need to gazette it, which means they need to make it public to say this organization is going to be proscribed. When you do that, that organization will then have a right to maybe challenge that decision in the court of a court of competence to say, oh no, that is not right, and then the courts will make the position. That's why we have balance. That's why we have separation of power. You can't be the judge and the jury in your own situation. What you found out here is for the defense headquarters, as I have the highest respect for our military, to stand up and say we proscribe this organization. Under what grounds? If I was advising those,
no, they didn't proscribe. Yeah. It was the Southeast that proscribed. They only declared the organization a terrorist group.
Yeah, they can't. That's what I'm saying. They can't do it. And if I was paid money on this, what will normally happen is what the Ipob should be doing now, literally, is just going to the court to say set aside that decision until when the Supreme Court makes a decision on it, everybody maintain status quo. The problem we have now with this subscription now is that people overseas, people like us, people that might not, people like me, because I don't believe I believe we should go through a democratic process if you want to make agitation. But people that might be flying their flag on Facebook, on LinkedIn and the others need to be very careful, because from an immigration perspective, from a security perspective, every one of them will be flagged in their country. So if you have indefinite leave to remain, you've not got your papers, and they ask you, are you a member of a terrorist group, or do you support a terrorist group? That organization is a terrorist group based on that proclamation. And if you are not careful,
No, but you just said that
Yeah.
it does
Yeah,
does
but
not
nobody-
hold any legal status.
yeah,
It is null and void. It's
that's me
ultra
speaking, but they
vires.
need to go to court.
Yeah, but so
exactly what they say.
if it is ultra vires, what legal stand on international scale does it have to impact on people who believe in that organization?
Thank you. If you look at the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, if you look at Hamas, in some countries, if you are associated with those organizations, even though some countries might not have banned them, you're already tagged as a terrorist. You see, that's where the issue is now, and that's why people that might believe, but people that might believe that what the government have done is wrong, need to now go through the institutions in Nigeria to have that decision overturned, and the government
we're going to come to that on what the international community actually view about the actions of the federal government and that issue of proscription. Is you want to react?
Yes, I was actually going to pick on a few issues. You see, there are lots of things that the government, if we really had a government that is functional, could have done. Okay, we all are legal students in some ways because we do, at least I know what a bail condition is. If a court gives you a bail condition, we know what that means. So that was why I think I was one of the people that went on air when I saw Nnamdi Kanu, you know, because I knew very, very well that part of his bail conditions was that he couldn't go and be seen with more than 10 people. Now, it is either somebody wanted something bigger to happen, okay? Now, because please, don't be blind to the external forces looking to create mayhem, both external and internal. This has been a long thing happening in our world, and we need to wrestle it, we need to understand it, if we really want to change and make humanity what it ought to be. So somebody may have seen it and say, oh, no, don't flag it, leave it. Let it gather. It's going to gather. Let it gather so that we can
use it as,
okay? So that could be, because otherwise I couldn't see any reason. But
why his bail condition shouldn't have been revoked a long time ago.
A long time ago. But somebody must have advised and say, leave it. It is going to build so that we can have reason to go and do this and do that. Don't take that out of the equation. But okay, let's just take for argument's sake that nobody said anything. And they said, okay, for peace sake, let's leave him. Let him carry on. Yeah? Right. We had a president who, from all indication we had, left Nigeria for treatment abroad. 104 days he spent here trying to save his life if it was for treatment, okay? And I'm quite sure that if we calculated how much was spent in that trip, okay, we could use it to build the structure and then begin to equip it. Good medical care in Nigeria that could have treated the president and treated others. But okay, he came to save his life. He got home, even after being shown around and people asking him to leave and go back because you can't be leading a country and you're staying in another country. It doesn't make sense. I'm quite sure if it happens here, the whole world will break apart. You have Theresa May traveling somewhere and staying 1 month there, 2 months. I mean, there will be madness here. This is why I say I think we are going through indirect colonization, because you can't have a president live in a place for 3 whole months. Now, you got back home trying to save your life with all this money spent. Life was important to you to save. Right. I thought you would have come back, at least apologized, and say, okay, we're going to make amends from now. I'm going to do whatever it takes to give at least as much as good health care as possible for you lot. And I will try to minimize this trip. It's not right. Now, on the issue of agitation, I need to have people sit around the table. Let's understand this better. What is this about? What do you really want? Do you really want secession? If you want it and you're desperate for it, okay, let's look at the legal framework. How is it obtainable? Are you able to achieve it? Okay, if you think you are, let's see it. These are all negotiations. Now, to do it in Nnamdi Kanu, all it will take our president, that's if he is a president, because he's not acting like one. I can't give people names they are not meriting, okay? And I have to be very honest with you. All he would do is to call the Attorney General and say, look, my dear, from all indication, this guy violated we need him back in court. Simple. And of course, the court can now issue him with 28 days mandate to report back to court to explain why he had to be seen with more than 10 and group of people. 28 days, and say, after these 28 days, and you don't come back, we will issue a warrant for your arrest. As a president, if you are a president, you've got to go through the legal procedure. Now, if he fails to come in and you issue your warrant, and perhaps you think, oh, because he's assembled too many people, police might not be. Well, after all, the police in Nigeria still carry gun, okay? There is over hundreds of thousands of police in Nigeria. So arresting any individual shouldn't be a problem, okay? Now, if that fails, the president will then have to go to all the legal arms, yeah? The Senate, to get authorization if he's ever going to use the army. Do you know what it means to bring the army out from the barracks? I mean, this is the height of terrorism. And what is frightening me, and what I find so amazing, is that all the African countries have remained very quiet. Do you know why? They've remained very quiet because that is what majority of them would do.
Okay.
Okay, so, and also, can I then add that for a president to have left this country before he went and made his pronouncement, okay, I think he was giving a message, and I don't think he's the sole owner of the message he delivered to Nigerians, from England to Nigeria, okay, and he gave those pronouncements. He can't tell me he wasn't having meetings whilst he was here. And it would be nice to know who he's having those meetings with. And for him to have he's still flying around the world. And it's all okay. Nobody's saying a word. Now, whenever you minimize the life of a human being, or whenever you think a human being is less of a human being, then you have some psychological things going on in your head.
Okay, all right.
I just want people to get that. It's very important.
Otumba,
Yeah.
I mean, Nigerians have seen very horrifying videos flying here and there on Facebook, on social media, about the killings carried out in the south in the course of Operation Python Dance. Otumba, do you think that the actions of the Nigeria Army against Ipob is lawful or appropriate in that circumstance?
My view, my personal view, is that what the military government, the military is actually doing with the Ipob is inhumane. One thing that the military could have done, if at all, the military were actually necessary. We have the police in Nigeria could have actually dealt with the people who are not obeying the law.
That's right.
The problem we have in Nigeria is anything that the military do, they don't carry out their orders properly. I mean, let's put ourselves in the perspectives. I would not like the way those people were treated. They can actually be treated properly. Most countries abroad, especially the Western world, were not pleased with the action of the
How do you measure
military.
not pleased?
Well, they actually, there was a lot of people.
But nobody from the international community has actually said anything.
A few had actually made comments through the social media, but not. I agree with you. The international community or countries have actually not said anything, which is wrong. I mean, I'm agreeing with what he is saying. People are keeping quiet. People are not talking. I don't know why, because majority of the people that are being mistreated or killed are human beings like us. And it's a shame we are keeping quiet. If it was us, I mean, it was happening in our back garden, we will not actually like what is happening. I think something should be done. And I think we Nigerians in diaspora should actually tell the federal government what our feelings are and the way our people are actually being mistreated. But I mean, when these politicians want votes, they come over here to cajole us, perhaps to encourage our people in Nigeria, because we don't have votes anyway, to be able to vote them in. Once they're in power, they do anything, everything under this in this world to misbehave. I mean, the politicians themselves are not people. Some of them I don't respect. I mean, you have some of them in the Houses of Parliament fighting. I mean, how do you want the massive to obey law and order when the people who are supposed to govern us are people that are lawless? And I'm sometimes ashamed when I see things or things posted on the social media, and I'm thinking, is this Nigeria 2017? This is a shame. We've actually had independence for over 57 years, and we're still not governable.
In 57 years, yes. Some will still a young.
Crawling.
I disagree with you, because I mean, Malaysia and some other countries that took off at the same time, like
of course,
Singapore. Even if you take Singapore, take Ghana, people don't behave the way we behave.
Okay,
I mean, it's a shame.
Let me put you on hold. I've got caller on the line. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
My take on this.
Who is calling? Where are you calling from?
My name is Ade from Birmingham.
Ade from Birmingham. Thank you so much, Ade. Good morning.
Yeah. This is my take. Maybe your guest didn't know that the Attorney General of Nigeria did file a case to the court to tell the court that Nnamdi Kanu has floated all the conditions that was given to him. That's the fact. If your guest didn't know that, you should know that.
If the Attorney General approached the court, what was the position of the court? Why was the police not sent to arrest Nnamdi Kanu?
Don't know the kind of judiciary we have. If the judge that gave Kanu the bail is reluctant to invoke court, with the government go to the court and force them to invoke the case. It is clear that
so Ade, so if the Attorney General approached the court and the court did not deem it fit, or the Attorney General was unsuccessful in convincing the court, because you can't be a jury and a judge, you gotta convince the
court. This individual not floated or
we don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether the case was taken to court. But the point is, if you cannot prove your case, do you know in law it's about proving the case? You might kill somebody and still say, no, I did not kill.
There's damning evidence against this man. All his conditions, all sensible Nigeria, forget about sentiment, know that this guy has floated all this. They said he shouldn't grant interview. He grant interview, local and international. They told him he shouldn't be among a gathering of 10. He is among more than 1,000.
Okay, Ade, let's stay on the line. Ade, stay on the line. Ade, stay on the line. Let's get Tope to react to that.
You see, these are the kind of. I respect where Mr. Ade is coming from, but I think we need to be very, very clear here. What the government is doing is procedural error. You see, if you are a student of law and if you've gone through law, you have enough. Even my 10-year-old knows that he has enough information to put before a judge to have Kanu's bail revoked. In fact, let's be very clear. If you've gone to court and you have a bail, for example, because you went into somebody's house to commit murder, or no, they won't give you bail for murder, but for something. And suddenly, you are seen with a gun going on the high street. They won't need to go back to the court to say, oh, can we revoke that man's bail? They will go after him straight away. You see, we're not doing things right. That's the problem. And that's the reason why we're saying in Lagos that you catch somebody, you've not even asked the person what is done, you put a tire on the person and set the person alight. What is wrong, and we must be very clear about it. In the first instance, I don't believe that the federal government was wrong anyway to send the military in, because the fact that he had a video displaying that he had secret service, under our constitution, 216, 217, under law and order, the president can send the military in. if he wants to send the military into a place, he can do that. The law, our constitution is there, and if we are not happy with that, we think that law is too extended, then we need to do something about it, because Cap 8, the military law 2004, if I'm right, I think Cap 8 also gives say that the president could call on the military to go into a place to restore law and order. Of course, I don't think that the military is helping themselves with the way in which they do things, you know, because they are not following the rules of engagement, because they have a book on the rules of engagement, the way in which they should engage with civilians.
So it is normal for military to be sent to quell civil disturbance.
If the president believes that there is a threat, a serious threat that warrants to restore law and order, when somebody, if I'm telling you now, if I was advising the president, if Nnamdi Kanu says that he has a military, and we had 3 weapons brought into the country that was intercepted by customs, pop gun actions, which the custom have not also helped. You see a car with a lot of guns. If you arrest the person, keep it quiet. Follow them to where it's going. Right. Don't go on TV and say, no, here is the pop action. These are part of the problem. Now we don't even know where the weapons are meant to be going. Now they are accusing Turkey, that Turkey is helping in Nnamdi Kanu, all this. But you don't even have facts. You see, this is where we use emotion in everything we do.
It's terrible.
If we follow things thoroughly, Kanu said he is soliciting for weapon and he has something. I would drop a bomb in that particular area in his house. I would drop it down, with the authorization of the president. These are, you could do things minimal. You could pick that guy up, like you rightly said, pick him up and have go for an ex parte with judicial review.
According to what Ade said now, yes, which is unverified, that the Attorney General approached the court and the court was unable to do anything.
No. What the Attorney General, it was in a newspaper, the Attorney General had written, or gone to the court to revoke the order. There are timelines there, and I think it was meant to go back to court in October. But even before then, there are things that could be done, because he's violated that one. Not only have he violated the issue of the basic things that is attached to his bail, the fact that he released that video to say that he now has an army, that is enough. They don't even need to go back to court on that. The military can easily go in and just secure about 100 streets to him.
But when you say you have an army that is unarmed,
how do we know it's unarmed? We don't know. All we know is that he had uniform. Says that's why a picture tells 1,000 words. You don't know what is in that house. You don't know what we don't know.
Let's come to Otumba. Yeah. Otumba, some years ago we had the OPC.
Yes.
Also wearing uniforms or acting as local militia and soldiers up until when the police came after them. Similar to what Ipob is doing. Would one have said OPC at that time, marching around and carrying all manners of machete and stalls, terrorist organization, or that the Nigerian army should have sent a military after them at that time?
Well, you've actually nailed the facts on the fact is the government sent the police to the OPC and not the military.
Absolutely.
And at the time, the OPC actually obeyed the orders of the federal government not to wear uniform, and things were done properly. I don't think you can compare the two, because when the OPC had uniforms, their leaders were called in and they had talks with the federal government and they stopped the inappropriate things they were doing.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that should have been what the federal government should have done to Kanu. In the first instance, we are not obeying the courts, because the courts, all the law should have arrested Kanu. Immediately, he failed to obey his bail condition. Some people, through the media, some people are saying Kanu has escaped. He's actually not in Nigeria at the moment. A person like that should actually, if you take this country, for instance, if you believe there's somebody who is actually a national threat, you will actually get that person in the court almost immediately, or you actually get that person in detention of some sort. What the federal government, in my opinion, should have done was actually to arrest Kanu and actually ensure that the law is actually obeyed to the last breath.
Okay, I've got Kifli. Kifli, good morning. I hope I'm right with your name. Morning, Kifli. Hello, Kifli. Are you there? Good morning, Kifli. I'm not sure. All right.
Can I put
Kifli, if you got the time, call back.
Can I put a 10 seconds in there?
Yeah.
You see, if, as we're staying in this studio right now, you see, words are very powerful. And what Kanu had done that is different from what all the other agitators or people that call themselves militian group have done, you know, is that Kanu has been saying that one of the videos I watched, he said, don't take it like 1967. We have people now, we have weapons that we can throw and destroy your zoo. If, as we're sitting down right now, I face this camera now and I say, you know what, I've got guns in here, I'm going to shoot everybody down here. They're not going to send the police, normal police to knock on the door. Metropolitan, they will send in a swiper, they will send in proper SO-15, the counter-terrorism police to come and...
But they're still police, not army. Specially trained.
But you see, it depends on the... You follow a trait based on level of trait.
At what point will the UK government send an army?
The military is actually meant to defend the country and not actually to harass the citizens.
Let me put on. I'm sorry, but I've got Gladys on the line. Gladys, good morning, Gladys. Good morning, Gladys. Do I have Gladys? Good morning, Gladys.
Yeah, hi, good morning, yes. I just want to address this issue, if Ipob relates. Hello, good morning.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sure.
All right. Just to address the issue of if Ipob is really a terrorist group, then why would they be branded? Has the Fulani Herdsmen been... okay. I want to find whether they have also been branded as a terrorist group. Because when you see those men, ordinary men, they are carrying AK-47, and each one of them is about 2 million to 2.5 million naira. Then who supplies those guns onto them? So it is obvious that our country is a lawless society. And both from Buhari to the least person in the House of Senate or everywhere, they behave the same. So the issue of branding and the kind of, the country is lawless. And up until when we begin to address the very people at the very top, then we can start counting ourselves as worthy of any nation. That's all I'm going to say. Because there are so many organizations going on, even funded by the politicians. They've armed them as well. But Nnamdi Kanu is just an individual who maybe because of the way Igbos feel that they've been treated, he felt the urge to form a group. It may be done in a wrong way around, but then someone needs to listen. I come from the same area. All your passes through my father's backyard. But there's no light. There's nothing to show that this oil comes from my place. So it is not fair. Let us all be honest. There's no need us here saying and speaking all the things that if you come from where I come from, you will feel the pain. You will feel the agony. You will feel now, even in my place, that no more land to farm. Our waters are being covered in crude. So there is something Nnamdi Kanu is trying to say. But even if you kill Nnamdi Kanu today, another Nnamdi Kanu is still going to spring up tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, Gladys, thank you. Eze.
Thank you. I was actually going to add that, look, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today.
Louder, can you speak up a little bit more?
We wouldn't have gotten to where we are today, okay, if we had acted quickly, okay? And I've said this before. Now, I need you to remember that the way the federal government had always acted, I believe is severely irresponsible. Don't forget that Buhari has done this before.
Which of the ways?
No, because I'll give you an example. He has done this before. You know, when Nnamdi Kanu was arrested initially, there was a scene where the IPOB people gathered and they were sitting in a field, they were praying, they were asking for, they were protesting peacefully, okay? And the federal government sent in the military. Do you remember that? In fact, Buhari was being asked about that during one of the interviews. And Al Jazeera now wanted to show him the video. He knew what he did. He said, no, he didn't want to see it. Okay? Because there, people were shot dead. And nobody condemned this. That's why he had the impunity to do this again. So we need to really begin to see big brother. And if people are thinking that international community or whoever they are have not seen what is happening and are not in agreement with it, then they might think again.
They are not in agreement, or
I said if they think they are not in agreement with what is happening, they need to think again.
That English means if
that means they are in agreement because he has done it before. Buhari has done this before. Nobody condemned it.
Support of what the
Of
president
course,
is doing.
I have to say that.
Let's take Kingsley. Kingsley,
Yes.
good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program. Good morning, Kingsley. Kingsley, good morning. Kingsley?
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn down the volume of your TV set, please.
Good morning, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but turn down the volume of your TV set, please.
Yeah, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Kingsley. Kingsley, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay, please, what I want to say, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Kingsley, I can hear you. Keep
The
talking.
issue of Nigerian army declaring IPOB members terrorist group is not well. What is happening in Nigeria is getting out of hand. How can you see people that protesting without any arms, without anything, and you're declaring them a terrorist? We have all these issues. Look at, we have OPC in Lagos. We have other groups in northern states. Nobody have arrested any of them. Look at the headsmen carrying guns right from the beginning. Nobody have laid hands on them or tackled them or killed any of them. Why is it now is these people that have been frustrated in life and see somebody that can speak for them since they were born up to this day, and government not declaring them a terrorist? Who have these people fight for since they are doing all this agitation thing? Nigeria leave the thing they're supposed to settle and leave it and do one thing or the other. The issue is still there. Nobody have point hand at it. Look at what they did this time, last time. Nobody from the eastern region have anything from it. And they see the people that somebody can rise up to speak their mind, and government is declaring them a terrorist. Governors in the eastern region, they know what they are doing with the people they are ruling. None of them speaking the mind of these innocent souls. Look at human beings, how they treat them. The northerners, all of them are in behind of all this is happening in eastern region. And their governors and their senators, whoever they call them, they know what they are doing. You cannot keep people and tell them to keep quiet. You cannot put people in bondage and tell them to keep quiet. Let Nigerian authorities put hands together and put heads together. Settle the issue of Biafra. Give them referendum and let them go and be on their own. See people they are not the part of Nigerian people aggressive.
Okay, Kingsley.
Let them go.
Thank you so
give
much
them
for
a
your
day for
contribution.
referendum and let them stay on their own.
All right,
killing
Kingsley.
them and killing their children.
Can I have Kingsley out? Okay, Kingsley, thank you for your contribution. I'm going to come to you.
Let me explain very briefly. I think the lady that called in, Gladys, was right. I think this is part of the challenge that we have. If I was the one advising the president, one of the things I would say was that, you know, as you're proscribing Ipob, you should also be prescribing other organizations, not just because they carry arms or not. The bottom line is that terrorism is about creating terror and fear. One of the videos we saw, which I was scared, I was scared that if it goes viral could cause problem, was the videos of Ipob members looking into buses and saying, where are they? Where are those people? You know, and if they found anybody, they would have brought them out and slaughtered them there. But that's not what we want. You see, that is where that's where the challenge is. When OPC was doing their own foolishness, but they weren't going around looking for Igbo or Yoruba or Hausas to kill. You understand? This is where Kanu's speech creates problems, just like Hitler's speech. You know, just like what happened in Rwanda where they're calling people cockroaches. That's the problem we have. What the president should have done if he had a good advisor was to say, Kanu's organization is prescribed. you all have a right to go through the right process for us to look into your agitation. Just like you rightly said, let's sit around the right table and let's have a discussion. But not only we are not allowing any organization to come up and be creating. No organization should be telling somebody you have won, you have to leave the country by 1st of October. Proscribe that organization too. This is Lagos, it belongs to OPC. Proscribe the organization. If you do that, then they will see that you are balanced in your approach. But part of the problem we've always had in Nigeria is this emotional approach. Why should the military use the word python? That's a secret python dance. What does that mean? That name itself is a scarce name.
Terrorism. It's terrorist.
Even in the Igbo land, that animal is an animal that is viewed with that is viewed with some respect, and then you use that. You are trying to whip up emotion. So we need to be careful in the way we do things.
Okay. I've got Emmanuel. Emmanuel, good morning, Emmanuel. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, Dr. Tunde, and good morning to your guest.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, and good morning to all the speakers. They have spoken well. My contribution to this question of military or operation, what they call Python, or being sent to the southeast, from my own perspective and somebody who is in law, I have to tell you that the federal government of Nigeria under Muhammadu Buhari violated all the chances he has. Because if you look at what is happening, a lot of people will look at it, because it's Peter today, tomorrow it might be Paul. The real situation at hand is when a government is confronted with agitation, the best thing is to dialogue with them and know what they want. It happens in Spain. It happens in England. It happens in Russia. It happens in different parts of the country. So I still don't understand why the present government will continue to brutalize the people of southeastern region. Every human being understands what is happening. We cannot shy away from the truth. And that is why I respected the man who is there, who is speaking the truth, irrespective of where he comes from, and the guy with the cap. I am part of Yoruba myself, okay? I am part of Riverine. I am part of Hausa. But I have to condemn the brutality being meted to these guys. It is not a right thing. The world is saying, and no person will tolerate something like that. Because when it comes to that particular region, a different treatment is given to them. True. But when it comes to the Fulani herdsmen who have been killing, who have killed more than 8,000 people, they have not been declared a terrorist group. I am telling you today, it's not from my own way, but from the moral aspect of law. The killing of those innocent people, it is not acceptable. This amounts to genocide. As far as I'm concerned, no matter the grammar, no matter how people try to interpret it, Carlo did this from Aja, or did that, or did this, or did that, or did not obey the Bell condition. The point is that when you look at Article 8 in ICC International Criminal Court, what amounts to genocide is crime against humanity, and that includes attacks on civilian population with knowledge of attack, murder, extermination, and enslavement, deportation or forceful transfer of population, imprisonment, torture, rape, and sexual abuse, which has already been established. I rest my case.
All right. Okay, Manuel, thank you so much for that contribution. Is it quickly?
Yes, that contributor is just awesome. I respect that. Now, please, because I advocate for humanity, I like to always look at things broadly. For me, it's all about humanity. I'm looking at, do you know, the only thing I would say Nnamdi did wrong, because every other thing he did, I think, is fine, apart from two things. Because whenever you say anything that I think threatens humanity, I have a problem with you. Simple. Those two things were when he tried to say, you know, it's like religion is a problem for me, obviously, but when you take a whole community and you want to just clear it off, then you're striking on humanity because you're not looking at individuals and you're also ignoring your own. You're not seeing your own problem. You're only seeing one. I heard him say something about, oh, you know, any Igbo that attains Yoruba church and this and that. That is not on. There is no need for that. Yeah. That is total out of order. True. Secondly, I don't like anything because I respect humanity. Humanity is critical. When you understand humanity, honestly, you struggle to kill an animal. Now, when you begin to either threaten or actual violence, when you threaten, because that means you want to kill a human being, totally out of order. But then that weighs little compared to those that are actually killing people and feeling that they have the right to do so, even when they are trying to save their own lives and using the nation's wealth. That is criminal in my view.
Okay, before we go on a short break, Otumba, let me ask you, the way things are going in the country, would we say the government of the day is moving in the right direction in addressing national issues that bother on the different regions? Say, for instance, you have the Arewa group in the north giving ultimatums. You have the cattle hustlers carrying Kalashnikov and stuff like that, moving around. Even we had one in Benue or Plateau over the weekend that was just recently resolved. Then we have the Odua in there. Do you think the government of the day is handling regional issues very well in the country?
At the moment, the federal government is actually not handling the regional problems very well. We have diverse populace asking for things like restructuring. We have people saying that the headsmen are actually carrying guns, killing people. We have people like Kanu saying that he wants to have his own republic. What I would have done what should have been happening really is that all these agitators, you bring people together to talk. After all, before we actually got into this marriage in 1953, we had a conference. The National Conference sat together to do to actually formulate a constitution, which I will go back to worked because we had regions, we had people governing themselves, and the power was not to the center. The power was actually divided. You actually, any revenue collected from any region is actually halved to develop each region. And if we cannot have the regions anymore, we have what we call 6 geographical zones now. What I think, you know, the bottom line is the federal government should actually act swiftly. I know I actually made a sweeping statement earlier that I don't respect politicians, not all of them, some I should have said, but some actually should sit down, both members of the APC and PDP and any other party in Nigeria, to sit down together. In this country, they had IRA problems. The government of the day and the other politicians sat down to resolve their problem. Okay, that is what we should be doing in Nigeria, resolve the problem.
Resolving problems. We need to go on a short break. We'll be back. When we come back, we'll look at the political dimensions to the issue of Kano, Ipob in the southeast, and then we'll take it on from there. Don't go away. We'll be back, and then you still have a point to call into the studio.
10 a.m. to 12 noon. As part of our continued effort